is they're under the state plan referred to as LOPFI. For our active employees, we contribute 24% of salary. It costs us about $3.2 million per year. And then the old plan, which is police and fire employees, I think it was 08 that we turned our local plan over to the state LOPFI plan. And that plan is underfunded as well, and they charge us not a percentage, but a flat dollar amount per year for that, and that comes out to $1.2 million. So our total LOPFI contribution every year is about 4.4. And then we have 2 employees, our chief deputy court clerks. They fall under the APRS, the Arkansas Public Employee Retirement System, and we're required to contribute 15.32% of salary to that plan, which costs us about $17.5 per year. The financial health of the plan, excuse me, as I mentioned, prior to 18, it was projected to go broke. The last projection, which was done as of 12/31/21, showed a gradual increase in the funding ratio over the next 30 years, but then 2022 comes along, and we lost $2.5 million in value last year. Also, we have a local bank account that we use for this plan. The local bank account is what funds our retiree benefits. It collects the contributions from the city and from the employees, each payroll, and it funds refunds. So if you're in the plan and you leave before you get vested, you get your contributions refunded to you, and that flows through this local bank account. And that bank account is losing ground. And when I say losing ground, for example, in 2019, we had to take a withdrawal from our investment account of about $200,000 to help with cash flow. And then in 2021, at Mr. Grimes's recommendation, we took all interest that our general fund reserve account had accumulated, transferred it over to this local bank account. And after all that's said and done, at the end of 22, our cash balance was about $188,000. So without those 2 contributions, we would have been digging into our investments to help with cash flow. So that's a major concern that we have for this.
What kind of account did you say that is in the local bank?
Just a checking account at Centennial. And one of the big wild cards in this are those refunds of contributions. That can have, it's an unknown. We never know who's going to leave and get a refund, and it can have a significant impact on our cash flow. Last year, we refunded about $470,000. 21 was about 320, and those have been unusually high years. Usually we hover around 220,000 in refunds, but we've had several people leave. Now that theoretically that helps with the liability of the plan, because more than likely those employees, well, I won't say more than likely, those employees could have been under the grandfathered structure, meaning the benefit was richer, the liability was higher. As those employees come off the plan, that does help with the liability. If they're a non-grandfathered employee, they're just going to be replaced by another person, so that doesn't necessarily help with our long-term liability.
So this local checking account, that's also where we pay the retirees monthly, or whatever. How do we pay them monthly?
Monthly.
Okay. So basically it's cash flow in and out.
Yes.
From current contributions and then paying retired employees, and we want to keep that above water, obviously, and
yes,
maybe even growing.
And that's just kind of a logistic thing. It's much easier to use a local bank account for that, as opposed to have to, call down at Meridian and say, please transfer us money, and then transfer money in and so forth. 2022 was a good year for the city. Even though we lost money for our investments, stocks and bonds really took a hit last year, but our sales tax last year and just our overall performance was really good. You folks will remember these numbers. I rounded them off, but you'll remember these numbers from our December 22 financial review. About $4 million in increases to our fund balances. Now the street fund, you see we took that $3 million hit just for conversation's sake. If we had not bought that Conway Court property, the street fund would have shown a fund increase as well of about 2.2 million. So it was a good year for us. We just had that one large purchase that
That's something for it.
we got something for it, and
Sure.
everybody agreed that was a good thing to do.
And their fund balance is still good.
And their
Still
fund
healthy,
balance is still good. That's right. So our sales tax, general fund, we beat our budget by 3.6 million. Street fund, not a big amount, but it still beat the budget by 60,000. So we think we're in a good position to take some one-time money and put into this plan and kind of help with our cash flow, maybe invest it. You know, it depending on your theory on investing, it might be a very good time to buy, depending on what the market's doing. And I've put this in here just as an FYI. This is an allocation of how our pension plan is made up. We have about 57% of the members are general fund employees, 11% of the members are street fund employees, 31% sanitation, 1% airport. So in conclusion, the committee is recommending a one-time transfer of $1 million to the fund. We talked about this at our January 2023 meeting. It was presented as a motion, and it was voted on and unanimously approved by all the members of the committee. If the $1 million is not approved by City Council, the committee would recommend that any contribution be shared among the operating funds in this allocation so as not to put it all in the general fund and sort of spread it out based on how the fund is populated. And I just put a note here, the last time we were able to put money back to our investment account was 2011. Since that time, cash flows have not allowed us to do that. In fact, we've had to withdraw some money from the account to make cash flows work. That's the end of my presentation. As I mentioned, Ms. Mel is our council representative on the committee, so if you'd like to say anything.
I think the only thing is I handed out some shared copies of our last report. Shared copies.
Y'all,
can
do
have
y'all
mine.
have one apiece over there?
No.
I'm just, we you go and leave you alone. Yeah, we've been arguing.
I knew that would happen. And I think one of the most significant things, and Tyler referenced it, is when they did the actuarial study, you know, we were at what, $16+ million, and if you look here, we're at like 14.
Yeah.
So that was a significant downturn. Now it's starting to creep back up because it got as low as 13 something quarters ago. So it is, you know, the investments are improving. But Tyler's right. There are months where Lisa has a big list of refunds.
2022 is a tough year for the market.
Yeah, and this year's been no different. I mean, it seems like we've had 2 meetings so far, and our refunds seems like they're averaging about 50,000 or so per month.
And just the very last, you go to the very last page. This was a new one. That's the first time we've seen it, which gives you a sense of how much is we have put into the investment side to be invested versus the blue has been the growth. So just to show you over the life of this plan.
I think the shaded blue area is the plan value.
Yes.
So of the plan value, we've only contributed about maybe half of that.
I got 2 questions. I know everybody with me. First one, who does our investment? And the next one, when do we need to put that money in there?
Pat Moon and Marshall Moon are the folks who handle the investment. Yeah, Meridian. And then if council decides tonight, we have an ordinance, last item for y'all to vote on tonight. Yeah.
And Tyler, I don't know that we talked about how much would need to go into the checking account versus put into the investment side. What
We kind of just left that up to, you know, maybe take some advice from Meridian, and you know, if they think it's a good time to buy, go ahead and transfer some money to them to make some investment purchases. If not, we may just hold that in our local bank account just so that we know cash flow is covered. And you know, the actuaries, when they were here before you back in September, you know, their recommendation was to increase the city contribution from 10% to I think 14%. If you do that, that fixes the cash flow. because now you've got not just one-time money going in from this point forward, you've got, another, 40% increase in city contributions going into that local bank account. So that would fix the cash flow issue as well. But as I mentioned, this kind of seems to be the method that the council prefers is just,
When
we know the
can.
plan's not going to run out of money. We know the plan doesn't need to be 100% funded. So this is kind of the approach we've talked about taking.
And I think we talked that we don't want the employees' contribution to go up.
Right.
Changing the city's contribution would change the budget significantly. So
Yes.
this allows us to kind of
Right.
control and monitor how that looks.
Any more questions, Mr. Winningham?
Very good, Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Tyler. This was
Thanks to the
great work.
committee.
Yeah,
And thank
too,
you,
Shelley.
Shelley.
Thanks. Go ahead, Harry.
Go every month. I get my email from Lisa.
Next up, we have the conductor, Mr. Standridge, and Ms. Raines.
Yes.
I think this guy goes there and then it should.
Over here.
Go right. Mm-mm. Something over.
There you go. All right, Mr. Mayor and council members, we appreciate you guys for having us again. We presented to you all a few months ago about the conductor and the work that we do. And we're coming to you tonight with a very specific request because of a federal opportunity that's come across our desk here just in the last couple of weeks. Quick reminder, the mission of the conductor is to empower entrepreneurs and innovators. We get up every day and we think about how to help entrepreneurs and small business owners in our community be successful. We've seen over 35,000 participants in all of our programming since 2016. We've had about a 74.5% increase, almost 75% increase over 2021. Largely responsible for that is the opening of the Arnold Innovation Center. About 35% are racial minorities, and about 59, almost 60% are women-owned businesses. More than 30.5% of clients reported adding new positions to their business after coming into contact with the conductor. 32.6% of clients reported adding new products or services. Many times that we've helped them kind of concept and help them think through how to build out and take to market. Clients reported an average of 22.6% increases in revenue, and about 72% of all of the one-on-one consults that we conducted in 2022, which are a lot of them, were actually from Conway-specific businesses. So a lot of work going on here in Conway. We now have 71 members in the Arnold Innovation Center. 66 of those are co-working members, which means they pay a small amenities charge, $25 a month, and they're able to come in and co-work, work on a space available basis. They get 5 hours a month of conference room space with that. We've got 4 meeting space partners, small businesses that come in and use our meeting spaces for a specific amount per month. And then we're beginning to build out some lease space upstairs with glass offices, and we've got one of those spoken for currently. As soon as that's built out, we'll have about 7 offices available upstairs. There's kind of an example of some of our Conway-based businesses that are basing their companies out of the Arnold Innovation Center, a technology-enabled delivery service, Black Belt Media, Inspire International, which is a company that does work around the world with health and health supplements, Strategic Tax, and then Newhouse Marketing. We have a number of financial partners in our community and in our state that partner with the conductor. The University of Central Arkansas is going on our 7th year in a financial partnership with them. The U.S. Small Business Administration, we were one of 7 competitive awards around the country to be able to provide what we call the Regional Innovation Cluster that came from the Small Business Administration. We're on our 7th cohort, getting ready to recruit our 7th cohort for the 10X Growth Accelerator, funded by the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. Of course, Conway Corp, Adafio, Conway Regional Health System, Axiom, Conway Chamber, and CDC, they all contribute funds every year to enable the conductor to do the work that we do for entrepreneurs at no cost to those entrepreneurs. There's only one, there are several logos that are missing, but there's one logo that's conspicuously missing, from the Arnold Innovation Center that we'd love to see, and that's the City of Conway logo. And I'd like to talk about a particular opportunity, then have Grace actually share that now in terms of why we're coming to you guys today. And it's a time-sensitive request. It came across our desk about 2 weeks ago, actually a little less than 2 weeks ago, and it's an end-of-the-month application for that. So.
Yeah. So what we're here to talk about today is the Minority Business Development Agency's Capital Readiness Program. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the program. I'm going to tell you a little about what we're proposing to do with this funding and with the program. And then we do have an ask for you guys. So the program is a 4-year program. It contributes between $500,000 and $75,000 per year through the grant funds, depending on the match requirement, but that we're able to achieve. The 10 to 25% match is dependent on the $500,000 to $75,000 per year. This grant program focuses on what they're calling SETI entrepreneurs, which is socially or economically disadvantaged individuals. There's a big long list of what qualifies you to be a SETI entrepreneur according to the MBDA. The entrepreneurs that we're going to focus on in our program are women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, BIPOC businesses, and rural businesses. Those are our areas that we're already serving entrepreneurs that we just want to build upon. The premise of the program is building on an incubator or accelerator model or both. And so incubators are, really normally spaces like the Arnold Innovation Center where you can come in, receive mentorship, receive business support, access to capital networks. Businesses can operate out of those spaces or they can just receive the services. But that's really what an incubator is in serving entrepreneurs. Accelerator models are more a time-bound program that entrepreneurs go through that are receiving specific programming. We mentioned we have a 10X Growth Accelerator program that has already been really successful. And so our thought process is we would like to have an incubator and accelerator model. And I'm going to talk through kind of what we're thinking with the incubator and accelerator model that we're proposing today. So starting with the incubator program, we would like to really create the Arnold Innovation Center as a resource center for entrepreneurs. We've already got a lot of resources happening there, but how do we up the ante and create a true resource incubator model out of the AIC? So we'd like to start what we're calling Conductor Connect, which is a subject matter expert network. Conductor Connect will be a program where we bring in subject matter experts for office hours in the Arnold Innovation Center. We'll bring in CPAs, lawyers, marketing experts, government procurement experts, a variety of different expertise areas in order for entrepreneurs to come in, be able to access those resources at no cost, and we'll be able to provide funding to bring those subject matter experts in to provide those resources. Another program that we'd like to propose through this is what we're calling the Roundtable, which is a peer-to-peer network opportunity. So a lot of times what we hear from entrepreneurs is it's lonely at the top. And so they don't have a lot of peers to talk through. They have employees, but they don't have colleagues that they can run things by. And so as they hit barriers, as they have issues, they need to have that peer-to-peer networking. And it's also proven that entrepreneurs that have that peer-to-peer cohort mentality tend to see better results in their businesses, grow faster, things like that. And so that's an access to network piece that we want to bring in. So that we're calling that the Roundtable. We're also going to put together what we're calling the Think Tank, which is a lending library for business resources and business books, lowering barriers to additional resources for entrepreneurs. And then increase our cadence of workshops, increase our cadence of pitch nights that we're doing, increasing our networking events, really creating a hub of resources for small business owners. How do we get cash into the hands of small business owners through pitch nights, through our Kiva loan program, and really upping the ante on those programs that we're already doing, but we want to be able to do more of and provide more resources to Conway area businesses. And so this is the incubator model that we're proposing, is really upping the services that we're providing, adding new services, and doing that all out of the Arnold Innovation Center. You will not have to be a member in order to access all of these things through the program. You can be a member, but it'll be open to the public as well. All you have to do is be a small business owner or entrepreneur to qualify for these. So in addition to that incubator program, we're also pitching an accelerator. So as Jeff mentioned, we run the 10X Growth Accelerator. We run that with funding from the AEDC. The cohort members to that program have seen a 12X growth return on average. And we have about over 90 plus NPS score, which is world-class when it comes to net promoter scores, essentially saying that the participants in our program would refer our program to others after going through it. So we want to build on that success. That program is positioned for companies between 100,000 and 10 million in revenue. We see a gap in early stage companies that may not be tech enabled, may not be scalable, but are a little bit smaller and just need a leg up to grow. They need to know about process improvement. They need to know about, how to grow their business functionally from 1 employee to 2 employees, or from, 3 employees to 10 employees. And so that's where the Catalyst Accelerator comes in. We're pitching an accelerator from 10,000 to 500,000 in revenue for Arkansas-based companies over 14 weeks. It'll be based here out of Conway, and so it'll be available for Conway businesses, but it'll also be available for businesses outside of Conway. Our thought process there is we're going to have this robust incubator that we're building in Conway that's a resource center, and we're going to recruit companies from other places and from Conway to come in and see what Conway is building here and realize that Conway is the place to grow a business. You have all the resources you need. You have a place that has low cost for you to build your team, relocate here, start your business here. Or if you're going to start a business, Conway's the place to do it. And so through these 2 programs, we feel like we're able to really serve the Conway area businesses very, very well, as well as, bring in additional businesses and make Conway the place to grow. So with this program that we're currently pitching to you, we have funding partners and support partners that have already signed on. So the Arkansas Department of Commerce and the AEDC have already agreed and provided us a letter of support for this program. They've seen the track record that we have with 10X. They've seen the gap for the type of accelerator that we're pitching. And so they've agreed to support us in this. Our 4 congressional delegations are also signing a letter of support to support us in this. And then the governor is also, her office is working on a letter of support as well for this program. So we're working at, a statewide level to bring in some letters of support. So our commitment to you guys with this program is that we want to provide robust programming within the Arnold Innovation Center. And like I said, make Conway a hub for area business. We want to conduct a yearly needs assessment. So we're understanding the gaps for Conway businesses and meeting those gaps with the programming that we're providing and pivoting as we need to provide the resources that they need to grow. And then in addition to creating all those resources and providing all those resources, we also want to make sure that Conway is business friendly from a processes and procedure standpoint. So is the city of Conway, the easiest place to grow a business? And so with resources and with, policies and procedures around growing business. So, and then finally, like Jeff mentioned, we want to present the city of Conway as a conductor partner. We have a lot of industry buy-in. We have, buy-in from the chamber and others, and we really want to partner with the city as we continue to grow because we see a lot of growth potential here in Conway for entrepreneurship. We've seen a lot of traction already, and we feel like there's just a lot of opportunity to go from here. So our ask from you guys is a written commitment of $150,000 per year for 4 years in match funding for this MDBA program. That would allow us to get the Tier 3 program funding. If you look in your packet, you can see the different tiers of funding and the match commitments that are required for us to access that funding. We're going to go big or go home model. We want to, access that top tier funding because that allows us to bring in $3 million in match funding or in funding from the grant in training, growth consulting, technical assistance, and access to capital to Conway business owners. So with that match funding that the city would provide, that's a 500% return on investment when we receive the $3 million grant. So like Jeff said, this is a kind of a time-sensitive subject. We have a deadline of February 4th in order to get the match funding for us to be able to apply. The only other thing that I'll mention is we know that this is a big ask from you guys. There are other cities that are investing similarly in entrepreneur support organizations. So the city of Fayetteville contributes around $150,000 a year to their ESO. The city of North Little Rock also contributes $225,000 to the Innovation Hub in North Little Rock. And that's without any matching commitment. So they're not receiving a 500% return on that investment. That's just dollars going to those organizations. So with that, I will open it up to any questions. We'll be happy to answer anything you have.
How does it happen?
So that's a great question. So the grant program itself is a 4-year program. They have a matching commitment that they ask from us in order to access that top tier. So essentially, they're providing us funding commensurate with the match funding that we provide. So if we're able to get that $150, then they'll provide the full $750 per year for those 4 years. If we provide less than that, then they provide less.
So it doesn't have to be 150. That's our ask. If there's something less than that that the council's comfortable in providing, then obviously we're open to that. We'd be open for any of that. We're trying to get the maximum federal funding for the program. Great question.
Yeah, and as you decrease the amount of match, you also decrease the amount of funding they get. So you're required a 10% match for the lower level, and it kind of goes up from there. So the table is in your packet that kind of shows. It's a little bit confusing, but it shows the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3.
So the grant, you talked about who you're targeting. Those programs would only be open to that cohort of people?
No,
So
the
we'd
programs.
be paying for more than just.
So the programs will be open to anybody. We have to target those individuals. But even in the grant application, they recognize that we'll be serving more than steady entrepreneurs. But they want us to target those entrepreneurs.
A required percent or anything
No,
like that?
no. And they don't even they require us to track those numbers, but they don't require us to it wouldn't be only open. And that's why none of that is branded as a specific minority, program or women-owned program or anything like that. It would be for anybody and everybody. And that's something we've really stood behind is our programs are open to anybody that wants to participate, but we try and make sure that, we are accessible to anybody that feels like an underserved entrepreneur. And that's why I think our numbers show that we tend to serve more steady entrepreneurs than we do non-steady.
I think that's another reason that we think we have a really good shot at this. Number one, we are a proven federal contractor through the U.S. Small Business Administration, also through the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We had a program from them, Kauffman Foundation, and others. Number two, our numbers of the people that we are serving, the numbers of people and the breakdowns of those numbers show that we are well equipped for this population as well as others.
Now, our outreach with this program would be more specific to those individuals. Yes. So, the outreach, but the communication would be anyone and everybody can participate in these programs. And the great thing about, kind of the breadth of people that we're trying to serve is that most people would qualify as, in our area as either rural, a woman, BIPOC, or a veteran. That hits a huge swath of people and the majority of the people that we're already serving.
On that table, tier 3, that second column, yearly budget amount, says from 625 to 750. Is that where our 150 fits in this picture?
It's the tier 3 would be, I don't have it.
So the full match for the 150 is going to be for the 750.
That would be that's the 3 million.
But this is the amount total y'all need to raise? And our
No.
150 is part of that?
No, the 150 is the matching dollars. That's what the NVDA.
Okay, so where's the 3 million come from? Is that 4 years worth of it?
4 years of
Okay, all right,
750
all right,
is.
gotcha,
Mhm.
gotcha,
4 years of
gotcha.
750.
My math's good now, thank you.
Now that table's, they could have made it a little easier to read.
Al, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, that's okay. Actually had an appointment with Jeff the other day, and I had to reschedule, and I apologize.
No
But
worries. Hope you're
um,
feeling better.
thank you. I am, and I bet I have a feeling there are a lot of people in Conway that don't know what the conductor does. And is there any way you can just give us a brief synopsis so that
Absolutely.
No.
Great question. So we're what's called an entrepreneurial support organization, and our entire mission exists to meet entrepreneurs, small business owners where they are, to help them think through kind of what their biggest challenges are and to help them grow. Many times that's helping entrepreneurs start. So we have a number of people who come to us and say, I have an idea, and my idea is going to change the world. And so we take them through a very specific one-on-one consulting process to help them actually increase the likelihood that launching that business that is going to be successful. We spend a vast majority of our time as well working with existing business owners, whether it's recruitment and retention challenges, whether it's new client challenges, it's sales process challenges, or what have you. We spend an inordinate amount of time. I spend the vast majority of my time doing one-on-one consultations with entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and small business owners. So that's our kind of what I would call high-touch approach. We also do a number of workshops, trainings. We've got someone coming in tomorrow who's doing one on business financials. I've done several. I did one a couple of weeks ago on weathering the storm of an economic downturn. tips that entrepreneurs can use in the climate right now to think about how to better run their business. And so those are the primary things that we do. So coaching, consulting, training, technical assistance, and then we really look for a number of entrepreneurs who are needing access to capital. We administer the Kiva Loan Program. We're a trustee for the Kiva Loan Program, which is a up to $15,000 of zero interest loans that can be applied to certain small businesses that need them. They have to come through us to get on the platform and then actually crowdsource those loans from folks willing to contribute to those. And then, as Grace said, we run a number of other programs like the 10X Growth Accelerator that's funded by the AEDC. 14 weeks, we've put about 75, 80 companies through over the course of the last 6 years. We run an award-winning health sciences entrepreneurship boot camp for college juniors, seniors, immediate postgraduates, and graduate students. We run that on the UCA campus, where we bring in folks from all around the state who are interested in either entrepreneurship, health sciences, or a combination, and we run them through a week-long innovation sprint to help them flesh out challenges in healthcare and build applications or solutions around those. And we actually have former, I think of one particular anecdote, a junior in college at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock at the time, who came through that health sciences boot camp back in 2017, who now runs an actual medical device company that he created. So lots of good success stories there. Is that helpful?
Oh yeah, I kind of knew what you guys did,
Sure.
but I wanted it to be clear for everyone because I think it's important, especially right now. You and I've talked briefly about the understaffing problem that a lot of small businesses have, not only in Conway but all over the United States. It's a major problem. So I'm glad that there's someone out there that can help coach someone through that.
We actually have a couple people on our staff who are former recruiters. So when you're ready to sit down and talk again, we'd be glad to bring those to the table as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Are any of these businesses located in Conway? Yeah. Graduate from, and I say graduate, I don't know what that, is that what somebody that goes through the conductor does? Do they
So they don't graduate. We're kind of like the mafia. There's only one way out. And so I have to basically tell, that was a joke, by the way, for all you listening in. So I basically tell folks that once you're a conductor client, you're always a conductor client. So there's not really a graduation. I've been working with some folks since day one, but about 70% of the folks we're working with today are Conway based or Conway area based clients.
How many is that number again?
We've touched over 35,000 people in the last
I heard you say that earlier
6.5
today. Is that 35,000 in Conway?
No, that's total.
Statewide?
That's total about statewide, of which about 70%, I would say, are Conway. 60% or so are Conway.
When you say touch them, translate that.
So they may have been one-on-one consults. They may have gone through an extended program of ours. They may be a coworker at the Arnold Innovation Center. They've gone through something for which they received value back from the conductor, a training exercise, training program, or what have you.
More questions, council?
It's a short time frame for
Yeah.
us to act on this. I mean,
We agree. It was a short time frame for us too, so we feel you on
Yeah.
that. And we
Yeah.
appreciate your consideration.
So if you don't get the grant, there's no money exchanged.
That's right. So that's a great point. If we don't get the grant, there's no money. What we're asking for is a commitment if the grant comes to fruition. By the way, that commitment wouldn't have to be the grant period is like July, we think, when they're going to actually start paying. So it'd be the second half of, say, a fiscal year or a calendar year. But if we don't win the grant, there's no match requirement. We'd love for the city to be a partner, but we also understand the short time frame as well.
And what we'll do is we'll talk about this at the end of the council meeting if the council decides to suspend the rules.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you
Thank
guys very much.
Yeah.
The third presenter, I ask him to wait. So I know there's a couple of council members they're on a short time frame tonight. So if everybody's good with that, we'll go ahead and start our council meeting. We always start each council meeting with a word of prayer and pledge of allegiance. If you'd like to, please feel free to join.
And
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we get started, Christopher, would you stand up? Here's your new planning director, everyone.
Oh, okay.
Where you from, man?
Christopher Paxton from Rogers.
Good.
This will be the nicest night you ever have, so enjoy it.
Yes. I'll get the smiles now and worry about the rest later. But Mayor, I come from the city of, I just moved to Conway on Saturday. From the city of Fayetteville, I worked at the city of Rogers, before that, the city of Springdale, and before that, the city of Van Buren. So I'm glad to be here, glad to be a part of the team. Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Yeah. Thank you, Christopher. All right, call this meeting to order. Ms. Hurd, would you call the roll, please, ma'am?
Mr. Hawkins?
Here.
Mr. Grimes?
Here.
Ms. Tucker? Here. Ms. Mel?
here.
Mr. Ledbetter?
Here.
Ms. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Isby?
Here.
Okay, you should have received copies of the minutes from January 24th. Any corrections, changes, or comments?
Make a motion for approval as submitted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. No further discussions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 8-0. Let's see. Make sure I've got my, yeah. First up, we have the community development, and Mr. Hawkins, we'll turn this over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item is consideration to approve nominations for the Conway Tree Board and Conway Housing Authority. We've been forwarded names. First of all, for the Tree Board, Skylar Swope and Logan Pryor. Skylar would be serving a term that runs through December 31st of 26, and Logan would serve that same term. For the Conway Housing Authority, Major Robin G. Edward would serve a term through January 31st of 2028. I move that we accept these nominations.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve these nominations. I'd also like to thank Conway Corporation for all their support of the tree board. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution requesting Faulkner County Tax Collector place a lien on property at 2205 Maplewood Drive for expenses incurred by the city. The city has spent $113.74 to get this property into to conform with our codes, and we have a resolution to be read for this. It's Resolution R2208.
Hear anyone here?
Is there an owner or representative of an owner from 2205 Maplewood with us tonight? Mayor, I don't see anyone, so now we do have a resolution to be read.
Make a motion
2208.
for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Mr. Hawkins.
This item, Mr. Mayor, is consideration to dispose of inventory for the Conway Airport. And Jake, you want to come tell us what we're getting rid of?
How are y'all doing today?
Good.
First, I want to thank you guys for saving me about $100 tonight, Mr. Mayor. So thank y'all very much.
Yeah, you can't. If you think you're going to get by with that old Valentine's Day present, buddy, you're wrong.
You're right. I'll get in trouble for that one, I'm sure.
We're gonna get you out of here. Plenty of time.
No, y'all take your time tonight. No, this is just, we got a new vehicle that we had in our budget this year. And one won't start and the other ones, I really don't want to send a bunch of pilots into town and have to go get them. So it's just some older vehicles that we're going to try to sell and get off the books.
Make a motion that we approve the request for disposal of these assets.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this disposal of this property. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Passes 8-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is resolution to approve applying for grant funds for the Federal Aviation Administration and accepting the bid for the runway 422 rehab project for the Conway Airport. And Jake, I bet you're still there. Yes.
Yes, sir. So we are doing next 5-year plans is a lot of maintenance and some growing at our airport. This year coming up, we're doing some runway rehab. We're going to fix the marking in the joints. So we're going to fix the joints, reseal them, make them a little bit safer, and then we're going to redo the runway markings and stuff like that. So this is just to accept the grants. We had 5 people offer proposals for these, and one group won it, since quite a bit less than everybody else. So we're just going to front the money, and I will apply once. If you guys accept this, I'll apply for the grants, federal grants, and then we'll get all that back. Once that's completed, I'll apply for the state grants, and we'll get that back as well.
Wow.
So.
Move for adoption of the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this resolution to approve applying for grants from the Federal Aviation Administration for runway 422. Any other comments or questions? Ms. Hurd.
Aye.
Passes 8-0. And we're not going to talk about it tonight, Jacob, but I do want to make the council aware. The city has a very good opportunity to buy 250 acres that is immediately what's contiguous with our current airport. And I will bring that to the council at the next meeting for y'all's consideration. That work for you?
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right. And if you hadn't had time to sit out there and go out and visit with Jacob and see some of the things, some of his ideas for the future, it's big.
Do I need to make an appointment? I can just show up.
Got my car. You can come on out whenever.
And you can ride your bike out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that
I
happening.
don't see that.
We get a lot of them. The weather's about to be nice, so
Yep,
they'll be
yep.
coming on out.
The
But,
cycles will be
I'll
out there.
ride my bike to the corner.
I'll come ride behind you.
Anyway, Jacob is pushing us towards not a regional airport, but a national airport, and getting
Wow.
us some commuter flights and some charter flights and everything else. So
yeah, we'll be there shortly.
keep it up.
Good.
Keep it up.
Thanks, guys.
Conway International.
There you go.
Mm.
National.
Oh,
National.
come on, man, shoot high.
Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is an ordinance accepting and appropriating donation funds for the Conway Tree Board. And we have an ordinance to read for this item. It's ordinance 023-15.
And this is an accounting ordinance. There's
It
nothing.
is, that's all it is.
Make a motion for the adoption of the ordinance.
I have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance for the Conway Tree Board. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Ms. Tucker?
Yes.
Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Ms. Isbee?
Yes.
That passes 8-0. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
Yes, sir.
Next up, we have public service, and we'll start with a resolution to approve installing and purchasing field lighting at the Conway Soccer Complex. Mr. Cox is here.
Hey, dear.
Hey.
You got off cheap if it was only $100.
Yeah, he did.
Not after she see this price going up.
So this is a resolution allowing us to enter into a cooperative purchasing agreement with Musco Lighting and Syntec for the lights at the new Conway Soccer Complex.
This represents a savings. City goes this right about 7 to 8%.
Wow, that's awesome. Make a motion for the adoption of the resolution. I have it as 010.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution, to approve installing and purchasing of the field lighting at the Conway Soccer Complex. Any further discussion? If we can get just a little few days, we'll have our groundbreaking out
That's
there.
what I was going to ask. Has that been
know.
reset yet? Or-
Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That passes 8-0. And then finally, we have a finance here. Mr. Winningham, if you'd step back up. It's an ordinance appropriating funds for the non-uniformed employees pension fund, should the council choose to do so.
Sir, if I could make just a quick comment, that ordinance, 2 items prior, when you say it's just an accounting ordinance, that hurts a little.
But just so you'll know, I meant to hurt you, so.
Oh, Lord.
This Valentine's Day just got you down, big fella.
No, I'm good. I'm good. So you'll see in section 1, I left the amount blank. In the committee meeting, we made a recommendation for that amount to be $1 million. If council wishes to discuss and change that amount, you can plug any amount in there you so choose.
I'll make a motion to approve this ordinance with $1 million.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance in the amount of $1 million. Mr. Hawkins, did you have a question, sir?
I do.
Okay.
Would we have done this if the stock market hadn't done that?
I wondered that myself.
I don't think so. I think we'd be bringing this because we had a good accounting year. I mean, the actuary table showed that we're going to be underfunded. So I think we were going to bring something anyways. We kept watching it.
I believe so. Yeah, as I mentioned in committee meeting, every time the actuaries come to present, they say we're unfunded, our unfunded liability continues to grow, our liability continues to grow, and they always recommend that we increase funding. So I think we would have come before you, even if the stock market had not done what it did.
I just don't want to bail out investment guys.
And if you want us to maintain the whole $1 million locally, we can do that. The committee discussed that we would just kind of take their advice as to whether or not it's a good time to put some more money in to make some investment purchases. But to your point, they've not asked for, and they've not suggested that they need any funding from the city. This is just us trying to kind of be proactive and keep our funds as healthy as it can be.
They didn't even know until the last meeting that we were actively talking about it.
Right.
Well, I would just say though, in this local bank account, are we earning interest?
Yes.
We are earning interest.
How much?
It changes with the federal funds rate. So I think right now we're getting probably around 6%.
But that's good. I was gonna say, if we're not earning any interest, there's no sense in letting $1 million sit there doing nothing. We don't need $1 million of cash flow. But I'd say put the $1 million in local bank and then let the investment guys work with the committee to figure out what to do in the short term.
Because they do, and Mr. Cox, who's on our committee, made a good suggestion, I thought. Our investment assets, they do have a cash account, so we could transfer a portion of that cash to them for them to hold. And then, if one day they say, all right, today's the best day to buy, blank whatever stock, then they have the ability right then to make that purchase. So, like Mr. Grimes said, we can talk to them and work that out if that's what the council wishes.
Because they do have to follow our policy with that percentage of
Yes.
bonds, stocks, cash.
Yes.
It's all, you have to stay within that.
Randy, you made a good point, but I think if we're in a position to do this, we need to take advantage of it.
I think so.
But
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but 2022 was a tough year. And I to your point, Mr. Hawkins, I had that question too, because what if we bounce back? But I agree that this has been spoken about for some time. So,
regardless of that, we still have the cash flow issue at our local account. It's our retiree number continues to grow. We continue to pay out benefits, and that has been a struggle for us for the last 3 or 4 years.
Speaking of someone retirement, it's always good to know you got your money coming.
How many more times are you going to retire? How many more times are you going to retire?
I got one more.
okay, council, we have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance to move $1 million into the non-uniformed employees pension fund. Any further questions? Oh, there's not an emergency clause in this. Ms. Hurd.
Ms. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Mel?
Aye.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Ms. Tucker?
Yes.
Ms. Isby?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. That passes 8-0. Thank you, Mr. Winningham.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I know that we have 2 council members that are on time constraints tonight. I'd like to ask the rest of the council if you would give us about another 5 minutes to hear from Dr. Fiddler on his upcoming program on helping folks who need help with their dental work. Mr. Grimes, Ms. Isby, thank you for your time
I've
tonight.
actually already heard it. It's a great presentation.
Come on up, Terry.
But I heard the 30-minute version, so make sure he stops at about 5. He's talked about this forever. It's a good presentation.
I'd call the kettle black.
And Cindy, thank you for the present.
I was going to
You're so
brag.
very welcome. Happy Valentine's
I was going to
Day.
brag on you, David.
Don't do that.
Oh, David, I was going to brag on you because you've shown up both of our missions. You have. Thanks,
You're
Doc.
not
Yes,
letting,
sir.
you're not letting him pull teeth or anything, are you?
Pardon?
He's not letting Grimes pull teeth or anything, are you?
Okay,
Well, actually, on the.
you ready, Theo?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
This,
to-
this is a very successful program, and it's very, very worthy. And we appreciate you doing this, Terry.
Okay, I'll go real quick. Hey. The Arkansas Mission of Mercy, it's you see there, but it's a free clinic that it's offered across the state every year. Last year, we were in Conway. We had 6 surrounding states attended this. So it's April the 14th and 15th, as you see. It's co-sponsored by the Arkansas State Dental Association and Delta Dental of Arkansas, who is we have to have them for our finances. I will tell you that it's at $250,000 project every time we come. It costs us that much to put it on. The last time we were in Conway before the long damnable COVID came along, we saw 2,300 patients in 2 days and gave away $1.5 million worth of free dentistry. For people who cringe a little bit, we took out 7,800 teeth. And so that just tells you how the need is. Let me tell you about the impact that we had. According to the people who do this for us, it had a $605,000 economic impact on the city of Conway in 2 days. We spent $250,000, not counting the 200 hotel rooms that were here, all the gas, all the food, all the catering that we have, all the food we bought here locally, and like I said, almost 200 hotel rooms. That field takes up a lot of places, almost like a softball tournament, isn't it? But it is a worthwhile endeavor. Like I said, everything that we do here, we purchase locally. We can't do this. Well, first, Jared Parameter at Conway Expo Center, he's just a gem for us, I will tell you that. Nabholz Properties, Covington Properties, Patterson Dental, who does all the dental, our own Jason Earnhardt here from Conway. He's the one that runs this whole thing. He's with Patterson Dental, Conway boy. Leanne Moore, who is over our hygienist for the state. She's Conway. I made a decision. I'm the executive director of it. This is our 17th year. I've been at it I've been executive director for most of it. We'll just say quite a bit of it. And we've been in Fayetteville, Monticello, Arkadelphia, Little Rock several times, but Conway is the home base. We're not going away. Conway every year from now on. And we would have been here these last 3 years, like I said, if it hadn't been for COVID. And we almost did it last year, but the government suggested that we should not last year, which I'm not complaining about that. Not here, not this government. Pafford Ambulance Service, Conway Regional Hospital is helping us. UCA School of Nursing, Susan Gatto, our own Conway Mayor Castleberry, he has always been great for us. Police Chief William Tapley, Lieutenant Presley back here in the back, Fire Chief Mike Winter, and something that's near and dear to my heart, Renewal Ranch. We wouldn't get anybody to show up as volunteers to put this together if we didn't have Renewal Ranch. These guys work their tail off for us the whole time, and they're just wonderful. James Loy, Raymond Aiken. I could go on and on with this, but you say don't, please. This is a free everything when you attend. Free dentistry. We don't ask for any information about you except your health care. We don't look for a card for you, insurance card, any other kind of card from you. We just show up. We saw about 300 kids last year, the last time we were here. When y'all have a toothache,
you go get it fixed. They can't. They can't. And they've gone 3 years without us. And I'm expecting the last time we were here when I was there at 3:30 in the morning, because we walked it and counted, we had just under 1,000 people standing in line at 3:30 in the morning.
That's unreal.
And so we're going to start at 2 o'clock, actually start at 2 o'clock in the morning on that Friday morning to start seeing people, to try to get this going. We need 950 volunteers. You see that's what we need. We need Conway physicians. We need Conway dentists. We need dentists from all over the state. We need 160 dentists. We need that many hygienists. We need 300 dental assistants, and we need 550 lay volunteers. The churches, any groups, y'all are more than welcome. I think it will be a life-changing experience. If you've never been on a mission, or if you have been on a mission, you do not have to leave the state of Arkansas to help people who need it. Like I said, we had Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, Louisiana, Tennessee that showed up in Arkansas the last time. We gave away as much as one person. They rode all the way from Milwaukee, Wisconsin on a bus because they came down here and they got $5,500 worth of free dentistry for a $170 bus ticket. And so that's what we're here for. Thank you all for your time. I know you want to get away and go on, but I will certainly stay around for questions. I can't tell you how much I'm going to appreciate Lieutenant Presley, because sometimes in the demographic that we serve, we have some problems. And so that's what I need. And anyway, any questions? Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your time.
If really, council, if you get the chance to go out there and see, it is a tremendous program, and it really helps a lot of people. Thank you, Dr. Fiddler.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Council, I did make one mistake. We were going to, if y'all wanted to suspend rules, we were going to talk about the conductor. Since the other two councilmen had somewhere to be, would y'all rather me just wait and call a special meeting here at the first of next week?
Where they went to.
Okay, y'all just want to, I'm sorry, I didn't know that, Mr. Jones. Would y'all rather just do that? Okay. Okay, I agree. So I'll ask Felicia to get in contact with all y'all, and we'll have a special meeting. We'll do it one day at lunch, do it briefly. That'll work for everybody.
Well, and any options for funding sources, which that's the biggest question I would have.
Okay.
is Where could we,
And I'll get hold of Jeff and let him know, and we'll go from there.
if at whatever level, if we decided.
Thank you for your time tonight, council. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned. And thank you again, Cindy.
Yes, thank you for